Director of Agency Sales for South African Airways Vacations. And joining us today will be Mark Black doing the main presentation. He's one of our Africa specialists and works with many of you in helping your clients have their dream vacation. So a little bit about South African Airways Vacations. We are a division of South African Airways, and we are, like most airline branded programs, we're operated by a tour operator called Destination Southern Africa, or DSA Vacations. We're actually located in Tucson, Arizona. We've been running the program for 6.5 years now, and we're very pleased with the quality product that we're able to present to your clients. Of course, South African Airways flights are always included with South African Airways Vacations. It includes the internal flights, so all the advertised packages you see on the website do include air from either JFK or Washington Dulles. We also can offer air add-ons from a number of cities across the country, and we're also a Star Alliance member. And if your clients choose to fly in premium business class, we can quote on that as well. If your clients do have frequent flyer miles or just choose to do land only, we can handle that as well. So on with the show. I'm going to introduce Mark Black, one of our top consultants here, Africa specialist. And this is his email address should you wish to contact him after the webinar. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar today. I'm going to take some time to talk about Victoria Falls and Botswana and what we have to offer in those two parts of Africa. There are easy flight connections in South Africa to the Victoria Falls area and Botswana. There are daily flights from Cape Town to Johannesburg connecting onward to either Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe or Livingstone in Zambia. It's an hour and 45-minute flight. And then there is the occasional direct flight from Cape Town to Livingstone as well. There's also a flight from Johannesburg to Maun, which is one of the airports that serve the Okavango Delta region in Botswana. And there are direct flights from Johannesburg to Kasan, which is the small airport that serves the Chobe National Park area of Botswana. One thing to keep in mind is that Victoria Falls and Botswana are arguably two of the most popular extension destinations when people are coming to South Africa if they're spending 4 or 5 days in Cape Town, and then maybe a couple, 2 or 3 nights at one of the private game reserves that lie adjacent to Kruger National Park. The most popular extensions onto those are Victoria Falls and Victoria Falls plus Botswana. Victoria Falls actually shares the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe. It's a waterfall that is approximately a mile wide and has seasonality to it as well. If somebody is coming from Cape Town and going onward to Victoria Falls, they'll arrive in Victoria Falls in either the Livingstone or the Zimbabwe side, normally about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll be met there and transferred to their hotel, have an afternoon at leisure, and then normally we will book for them a sunset cruise on the upper Zambezi River. There you see a really amazing photograph of the falls from above and the gorge down below. That shot there is taken probably in just after the peak season in terms of the water flow at the falls. There is definite seasonality to the falls that you do want to keep in mind. There's another great shot too from up above. On the right side of the falls is Zambia, and on the left side of the falls, facing the falls, is Zimbabwe. We have properties on both sides of the falls, both hotels and lodges. And to get back to my comment about seasonality, we typically book those hotels and lodges based on the time of year your clients are traveling. The peak season for the falls in terms of the flow volume typically runs from about March through May. And that's when the spray is so high that it's very difficult to see the falls from on foot, hence the photographs from above. And then the low season of the falls typically runs from approximately October through December, when the falls are the volume of water going over the falls are at their lowest. So that's something to keep in mind. The Yeah, so there's the seasonality to the falls, and here's a hotel. Like I said, we have hotels and lodges on both sides of the falls. On the Zambia side of the falls, one of the most popular five-star properties there is the Royal Livingston. It sits right on the edge of the falls and arguably has the best position of any property at the falls. There's the lunar rainbow there, or the rainbow that goes over the falls because of the spray. Let me go back to the Royal Livingston. This is a five-star property. And typically when we book extensions to the falls, either on the Livingston or the Zimbabwe side, we typically book a 2-night package there. In low season, when the flow is not so high, there are a number of activities there, including what you see here, which is the Devil's Pool. One can actually, of course this is guided, one can actually make their way over to the edge of the falls. It's quite dramatic. Yeah, there we are looking at the falls during a low flow season when it's not so high. There's the bridge that spans the gorge between the two countries and over the falls. And of course, there's the tour of the falls. So when we book the 2-night itinerary at the falls, typically there'll be, as I said, the sunset cruise that evening on arrival, and then they'll overnight. Then the following morning, we typically will book a guided tour of the falls, and in peak season, the hotel will provide raincoats because the spray is so high, as you can see in that photograph right there. Another beautiful shot from above. Then there's the Zimbabwe side of the falls as well. Victoria Falls town is the village there that one would fly to, and the international airport. Again, it's about an hour and 45 minutes flight from Johannesburg. And we probably book the Zimbabwe side more often than the Zambia side, typically due to seasonality, but both sides are excellent. The single most popular property on the Zimbabwe side of the falls is the Victoria Falls Safari Lodge. This is a property that has both suites, club rooms, 5-star club rooms, and standard rooms as well. They also have a special package that's full board that includes dinners, lunches, and breakfast. And we like the Victoria Falls Safari Lodge quite a bit. Some of the activities you can do on the Zimbabwe side, again, there you see in the upper left the sundowner cruise that evening on the river, where one can have drinks and snacks. There is whitewater rafting, of course, sundowner drinks on the deck on the edge of the river, and of course the ever popular 15 or 25-minute helicopter flight over the falls. Here's a couple more photographs of activities on the river. And it's also a destination for folks who are into adrenaline activities, zip lines, bungee jumping, canopy tours, and jet boat rides on the lower Zambezi River, not to mention the whitewater rafting as well. There's the helicopter flight again over the falls. So we have a package, we have several packages actually that includes South Africa and Victoria Falls. The one that you're looking at here is the South Africa and Victoria Falls Explorer. It is arguably the most popular 13-day door-to-door itinerary that include all these destinations. So one would fly from either JFK or Washington, D.C. Dulles to Johannesburg, and then connect onwards with a 2-hour flight to Cape Town. And in Cape Town, we have 4 nights at the really beautiful 4-star Southern Sun Cullinan, with usually a Cape Point tour, Cape Winelands tour and so forth there, and a day at leisure. And then moving on from Cape Town, there's a relatively short flight up to uh, the Kruger National Park area, which is about an hour's flight from Johannesburg or a 2.5-hour flight from Cape Town, transferring in at 3 nights there at one of the beautiful Thorny Bush 4-star game lodges on a fully inclusive basis. After the 3-night, 6-game drive Kruger experience, which is arguably will be the most popular or the most memorable part of their trip, the safari section of it. They'll go back to Johannesburg for 1 night, stay at this beautiful boutique hotel in Johannesburg in an area called Rosebank, called 54 on Bath. And then the following day, because of limited flight connections, fly on to Victoria Falls, leave there around leave Johannesburg around 10:45 in the morning, arrive in either Zambia or Zimbabwe on either side of the falls, transfer into your hotel, and again, as I mentioned earlier, settle in, have a sunset cruise on the river that evening. The following day, have a guided tour of the falls in the morning, and then an afternoon at leisure. And my colleagues and I would, at that point, recommend all the various other activities one can do at the falls. The following day, they would transfer back to the respective airport and fly back to Johannesburg, and then make their onward connection to either JFK or Washington, D.C. So that's a 13-day door-to-door itinerary. Please keep in mind that that itinerary, like most of the ones of the packages you see on our website, can be tailored to suit your particular interests, your client's time frame, budget, and so forth. And of course, everything can be easily upgraded to 5-star or above. About a 1-hour road transfer from Victoria Falls is the Botswana border, and this is a really, really an amazing area, arguably one of the best safari destinations in Africa. The two areas of particular interest in Botswana from a safari perspective are the Chobe National Park and the Okavango Delta. Those are the two words that you'll hear the most from clientele when they're asking about Botswana. So if one is going to Victoria Falls at the end of a Cape Town itinerary or just going to the falls to start their trip, it's a relatively easy road transfer to the Botswana border, where they'll do passport control and then move onward into either the Okavango Delta region or the Chobe National Park area there. Botswana is a very interesting country from as African countries go. They've set aside a good portion of their land under natural protection as either national parks, private concessions, or nature reserves. And the landscape is pristine. There are a large number of lodges and camps spread around the Okavango Delta and Chobe National Park area, most of which are in the 4- and 5-star range, and many of which are accessible only by light aircraft charter flights. The thing that makes Botswana, or one of the things that makes Botswana one of the most desired safari destinations in Africa are the pristine quality of its landscape and the enormous abundance and variety of wildlife. The other thing that makes it quite interesting is you have both land and water safari experiences there, whether it be on the Okavango Delta on one of the island lodges or in one of the camps in the Chobe National Park area. Most people, when they go to Botswana for a standalone trip, are going to stay between 4 and 5 nights on the ground, usually divided up amongst different camps and lodges, and as it says there, that are accessible by light aircraft transfers. And once you're into the Delta region proper, there are very, very few roads, so it requires the charter flights to get to and from the camps. Peak season in terms of land price and game viewing in Botswana is between July and October. It is the most expensive time to year from a land rate perspective there, but it's also arguably one of the best times to go from an animal game viewing standpoint. That includes the dry season, which is typically runs from April to October. When the Okavango Delta is flooding and it's dry everywhere else in Botswana, particularly in the Kalahari Desert region, a lot of the game is drawn to the Okavango Delta, to those precious waters that are growing increasingly scarce. And so the combination of good weather and amazing game viewing makes that April to October season peak, and particularly from July through October. The wet season, their summer runs from November to March. It's less popular, as is the green season, December through March. That's their summer, when they very likely would have afternoon rain showers, high humidity, and high heat. But also you have your lowest land rates there, so pricing is good there too during that time. For the clients that I book in Botswana that are not going to go during peak season, we often recommend that they go either in May or October, which are really shoulder seasons in terms of pricing, and the game viewing is still excellent. The Okavango Delta is likely the most pristine and highest priced safari destination in Africa because of the high value of the experience and the relatively low capacity of the camps and lodges. And as you can see there, the delta floods seasonally, May through October, and the game migrates into that area. There's a shot of a picnic, a little picnic set up at the Chobe Game Lodge. And in the Chobe National Park, of course, which the Chobe River runs through, you have both land and water-based activities. And so typically, if you're going to stay in one of the Chobe lodges, like the Chobe Game Lodge, you'll have a morning or afternoon 3-hour river safari, and a morning or afternoon 3-hour land-based safari. So it's quite an amazing experience. During the dry season there, May through October, the largest elephant herds in Africa are drawn to that river. It's one of the iconic rivers in Africa, and it's really quite an amazing destination. There's one of the boat drivers going out on the river, and the elephants who are out frolicking in the river. There's baby elephant trying to get under his mom, but I think he's grown a little too big for that. And there's a good example of one of the light aircraft chartered planes that accesses the camps and lodges in the Okavango and Chobe region. They hold anywhere from 8 to 20 people. Require soft-sided duffel bags for your luggage and so forth. So that's another actually really amazing part of the experience, is flying from camp to camp and seeing the delta and the park from above. Getting on board the aircraft is always an adventure. And there you see the Okavango Delta region from above. It's quite a beautiful sight. And they do land on dirt and grass airstrips. They are not paved runways, and very often, being such a wild and unfenced area, before they land or take off, typically one of our guides will be running out there and shooing away the wildlife from the airstrip. So it's a sort of the uniquely Botswana experiences. Those are photographs of Kugana Island Lodge. It's one of the Okavango Delta lodges that is literally on an island, and it has both walking and water-based safaris. Those are the kind of boats one of the kind of watercraft you'll go out into the papyrus channels. And of course the Makoro canoes, which are one of the more amazing experiences there in the Delta, where it's very meditative. They go along very slowly, and there's the papyrus reeds and the lilies, and then there's hippopotamus in the water and so forth. It's quite an amazing experience that you have that's unique to the Delta region there. And of course, sundowners, they always surprise you out in the field, out in the bush, with sundowners around in the evening, or literally in your boat while you're out cruising around. See the whole team getting the drinks together there. It's great fun. And then your land-based safaris as well, and open safari vehicles. Some of the wildlife there at the reserve. I believe that's a kudu. Looking above from the Maremi down onto the Maremi Game Reserve there, one of the large natural regions in the Delta area. And in the Maremi Game Reserve, a lot of these, and in the Okavango Delta region in general, a lot of the dining is done outdoors, weather permitting, and this is one of the decks at the Kugana Island Lodge where one will have lunch and dinner. It's one of the really fun parts about being in Botswana is everything is done outside. And of course, your sundowner drinks right on the delta, right on the water. There's a photo of one of the rooms that's very typical of the Okavango Delta and Botswana camp lodges. They're beautiful. They're hardwood floors. They all have decks and fans, mosquito netting, beautiful king or twin beds, fully inclusive of all your meals and laundry. They're really beautiful and comfortable. And of course the settings are, it goes without saying, they're fabulous. They all have in-suite bathrooms, so no one's roughing it. Indoor showers, running hot and cold water. Some of our lioness friends having a drink. Boats heading out onto the delta. Bird life is quite phenomenal in Botswana as well, something that catches people by surprise even if you're not a bird enthusiast. It's one of the great birding destinations on Earth, actually. And there's what's called a hide in the Okavango Delta where you can access from above and literally be hidden from the animals as they come up and feed and drink nearby, usually elephants and elephants and hippo and so forth. Looking out onto the Okavango there from the deck of the lodge. The roads can get wet at times, but the vehicles are all prepared for that. It's part of the adventure. There's our giraffe friends, of course. Amazing bird life. There on the Chobe River, see how the elephants are coming right up to it. Yeah, it's an up close and personal game viewing experience, that's for sure. So we have a package on the South African Airways vacation website called Affordable Botswana, and it is arguably the most popular 6-night itinerary we have for Botswana. I've done it many times myself. It's incredibly popular, and it includes 6 nights in Botswana at 3 different camps, both in the Okavango Delta and Maremi Game Reserve and Chobe National Park area. We have a supplier in Botswana based out of Mao that has amazing properties in the Delta region and the Chobe National Park region. And you would have 2 nights at 3 different lodges, 3 distinct areas. So you have this amazing variety, both water and vehicle-based safari game drives. It's highly recommended, and it is one of the more affordable packages for Botswana. And that's $59.99 is both air and land inclusive. And of course, one of the things that makes Botswana so amazing are its people. When you go to the camps and lodges, at every meal, the entire staff will come out and sing for you, and it's really quite a moving experience. So that's a brief summation of outline of Botswana. We do look forward to seeing you. Please feel free to give us a call, and we can organize a Victoria Falls and Botswana itinerary for you. I'm going to hand the phone over to my colleague Cheryl Velser, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. We really appreciate you touching on what we have to offer for Victoria Falls and Botswana, and a little bit about our product in case some of you are new. We offer over 60 air-inclusive packages to both East and Southern Africa, plus the Indian Ocean Islands. We have a lot of flexibility with time and price and itineraries. We know clients don't take packages as is, but they give you a great idea of what can be offered within a specific time range and also in price. So we can certainly change out and customize or create a totally unique experience for your clients. All of our programs include 4 and 5 star plus accommodations, a lot of name recognition with the properties used. They're all well located. And of course, with the large volume that we send, we have extremely good pricing. Breakfast is always included for our hotels. And of course, the game lodges include full board plus the conservation fees and game activities. And of course, transfers and scheduled sightseeing per itinerary. Our departures are go any day as long as there is a seat available on the plane and also accommodation available. Your clients can travel. Um, we can do either seat and coach sightseeing or private car sightseeing at additional cost. And of course, the air is always included, or we can offer land only. And of course, we do have in-country assistance with our office in Cape Town should your clients have any challenges while they're traveling. And of course, we do offer free car rental